Feeling overwhelmed by the challenges of being a single parent? You are not alone. Welcome to Single Parent Reset, the podcast that helps you navigate the ups and downs of single parenthood and find the balance you deserve. Whether you're a single parent, co-parent, or solo parent, this is the show for you. I'm Orla, and I'm a life coach for single parents and a single parent myself. For more about me and the services I offer, head to solacecoaching.com. As a single parent, I know how hard it can be, but I believe every single parent has the strength to create a life that they are proud of. In each episode, we'll shine a light on the unique struggles single parents face and cover the aspects of single parenting that are often overlooked or left unspoken. I'll be sharing actionable steps to help you overcome these challenges and find more calm and fulfillment in your life. Single Parent Reset is your weekly opportunity to gain a fresh perspective, take back control, and feel more in charge of your journey. A huge thing for single parents is the feeling of loneliness. Today, we are going to discuss loneliness as a single parent, how it can show up, and what steps you can take today to overcome feeling alone, because trust me, you are not alone, no matter how loud that narrative is in your head. Loneliness can be a real challenge for single parents, especially as getting out and about can be even more difficult due to childcare. But it is not just feeling alone in the evenings when your kids have gone to bed. It is so much more than that. Loneliness for single parents can show up in so many ways, even when you're surrounded by friends, family, and your kids. And today, I want to talk about all the different ways that loneliness shows up for single parents, to help you realise that it is not just you who feels this way and help you find a way to overcome feelings of isolation. Loneliness can show up in so many ways as a single parent, often in moments we least expect. Here are just some of the examples that I think might resonate with you. At family and social gatherings, you might feel that you're the odd one out at family-centred events surrounded by nuclear families. Or do you find yourself explaining with a forced smile why your kids aren't at the family event because they are with the other parents? What about the weekends? Those quiet weekends when your kids are with their co-parents and you're unsure how to fill the silence in a house that is normally buzzing with noise. Or the opposite, weekends spent entirely with your kids, leaving you craving adult company but feeling overwhelmed and even more isolated. And looking at your own social circles, have you noticed that you're the only single parent in your group, making it feel like no one truly understands your experiences? Or maybe you've had to turn down yet another invitation from friends, only to watch the photos stream through on social media and you wish that you were there. And even it's just in the day-to-day, when you go out with your kids and suddenly you just wish you had 10 extra hands because you don't know how you're supposed to hold scooters, buggies, bags, everything. It can just feel like a lot and remind you that you are, yes, alone. Or a really tough one, when you're unwell and you still need to push through the motions of being a parent and not having someone share the load with you, there is no time that can feel more isolating than when you're a single parent and you're not well. And also it can just be feeling paralysed and making decisions, big or small, because there's no one to share the weight with. And another thing that people don't expect is it's the highs. When a high moment happens, it's not having someone to share that milestone your kid hit or the promotion you got, or even just having a fun night out with friends and not having someone at home to share that joy with. Loneliness as a single parent is not just about being physically alone. It's a thread that can weave through the many facets of the day-to-day life of a single parent, the good parts, the bad parts, and even the mundane parts. I'm sure some or all of those examples I've just said resonate with you, and you've all dealt with them at some point or another in your single parent journey. Today, we will look at ways to reduce the sense of loneliness and learn how to feel more connected to others. A time loneliness really showed up for me was one Friday afternoon when I had a very difficult call with my son's co-parent where we were trying to rejig our childcare pattern. I had an afternoon full of admin and chores to get done before spending the weekend with my son. First port of call was the shops. I had to get food in for the weekend. As it was my admin afternoon and sorting out my son's childcare was something that had to get sorted, I had pre-planned time with my son's dad to discuss the childcare pattern. I was on the way home from the shops when I had the call with my son's dad. I remember very clearly I was walking home laden with my bags of shopping, and the conversation was becoming more and more strained as the bags were getting heavier and heavier as the call went on. Eventually, when I did come off the call, just before I'd reached the house, I got my keys out, opened the door, and sat down on my couch. Yes, I had shopping to unpack and a list of housework to get done, but there I stayed sitting on the couch. I honestly did not know what to do next. You know that feeling when all your energy is spent and you cannot think of your next step. I was feeling upset and confused about what to do and totally alone. What I really wanted at that moment was to speak to someone who would get my frustrations and challenges after the call. I needed someone to help me pick apart my emotions from the situation and focus on what was best for my son. I also needed someone who would understand the very heavy emotions I was feeling, as anyone who has been through a separation with kids will know that the emotions are truly unique to that situation and they're very hard to even articulate. I needed someone who would just get it without me trying to explain it all, because that was just too hard to do. But when I ran through my normal list of go-to friends in my head, I just didn't think they could help. None of them were in my situation. None of them were single parents or trying to navigate a co-parenting relationship. Yes, they were the most amazing support group, but when it came to conversations like this, I felt like they couldn't offer the support I needed. Needless to say, I felt very lonely and was left muddling over the conversation in my head, trying to resolve the situation on my own. In the end, of course, I got there, but it did not come from a place of feeling strong and clear about my decision. If I'm totally honest, it came from a place of feeling depleted, isolated, and disconnected. And as for the housework, well, that definitely did not get done, sending me into the weekend totally unorganised and behind. I knew that I had to do some work getting better with dealing with situations like this. I did not want the feeling of loneliness and isolation to take over. I wanted to feel more connected. I recognised I was making assumptions that my friends could not be the listening ear that I needed, but also that I was not doing enough to seek out others that may be in my situation and could help me. I noticed how quick I jumped to feeling alone rather than figuring out the resources I could use to help me in that situation. I then started to recognise the times I felt lonely and challenge myself to not wallow in the feeling for too long, but look at ways I could overcome it. That is what I'm going to share with you now. The practical steps you can take when you feel loneliness creeping in and avoid feeling like you are the only one going through what you are going through. Because I promise you, you are not. Loneliness as a single parent often has layers. On a practical level, your time and energy are stretched thin. Between work, parenting, and running a household, there's little space to nurture adult relationships or even spend time with yourself. There's also the emotional aspects. Maybe you've experienced a separation or loss, and you're grieving not just the relationship, but the vision of your family you once had. And then there's the societal pressure, this idea that as a single parent, you should have it all together, which can make it hard to admit you're struggling. Understanding why loneliness happens is a key step toward overcoming it, because it reminds us that these feelings are a natural response to challenging circumstances, not a sign that you are failing as a parent or a person. The first thing you need to do when you feel lonely is be compassionate with yourself. Acknowledge your feelings and know that it is okay to feel this way, but you do not have to define your experience as a single parent by this feeling. And know that you are not alone and you are not the only one who has ever felt this way. Single parents are completely underrepresented in mainstream society, so it can too often feel like you're the only one facing your challenges. But remember, in the UK, 1 in 4, yes, 1 in 4 families are headed up by single parents. Now that is a huge number. There are many more out there that are going through exactly what you're going through. When you are feeling lonely, ask yourself, how would you rather be feeling? Perhaps you want to feel more connected to people who understand you. Maybe you want to feel a sense of community, or maybe you want to have others to share your highs and lows with. Once you are clear on exactly how you would rather feel, then start to ask yourself, What are the realistic ways I can bring some of that feeling into my life? And it can be the small things, from calling a friend after a hectic evening with your kids, or taking 5 minutes to send a picture of that beautiful picture your child did at school to your friends. These small steps are all touch points to help you keep yourself connected, even though you may feel like you're stuck at home in the evening. And then there are the bigger things like joining a local meetup group for single parents. Gingerbread and Frollo are great places to start. These can be online or in person to best suit your situation. Stop saying no altogether to nights out. And if you really can't get the childcare, invite your friends round to your house for a takeaway. For me, with my group of friends who live locally, we meet up once a month and we do takeaway at each other's houses. And if it falls on a night where I can't get childcare, it's great because it works for me and they can come to my house and I get the connection and catch up that I need. Get comfortable with asking your friends to spend time with you and your children so that you get some adult company and get to share the joy of your children with others. I love doing this. I love spending a weekend with my son where we meet up with some of my friends and they get to see him and hang out with him, and I get to hang out with them too. Another great thing is to consume material for and by single parents. Help you hear the voices of others on your journey. Take a spare 15 minutes and you could read a book about single parenthood, listen to a podcast for single parents. This would help you realise that there are millions of people out there going through exactly what you are, and you are not alone in this. This for me was an absolute game changer. I looked at my evenings when my son was in bed and I started to use that time more intentionally, and I started to learn from others who were wearing that single parent label with pride. So yes, there is so much you can do to help tackle loneliness, but the final point I want to make on this is that everyone is different, and what will bring connection to one person will be another person's absolute nightmare. Maybe a weekend trip away with other single parent families is your absolute dream, or perhaps you would rather send a daily check-in message to a close friend. It is all about figuring out what works for you and can be worked into your life. There is no point joining a group that meets every Wednesday at 6 p.m. and then you find that you are killing yourself to even get there, completely overruling any attempt you had to make yourself feel better for going. If a group is what you really want, find one that is at a time of day and frequency that actually works for you. A point I really want to stress is that if you find yourself resisting putting steps in place to shift that lonely feeling, know that resistance often masks fear or self-doubt. Be kind to yourself and get curious about what's holding you back. Ask yourself, what is stopping you doing something? Challenge what is coming up. What are you assuming? Is that true? A lot of the time, our own thoughts and assumptions can get in the way of doing what we really want. So going back to that time when I was feeling lonely following a call with my co-parent, I realised that I was assuming a few things. I was assuming that my friends would not be equipped to help me through the challenge. This was not true. Whilst they didn't get the depth of the emotions, they were more than capable of supporting me through the problem. I was assuming that no one would understand me. This also not true. I knew there were many ways for me to seek support from other single parents, but I was too nervous and not confident enough to seek out new connections. Get clear on what it is you want, make sure it is realistic to your needs, and overcome those assumptions getting in your way. Single parents, I hope this episode has made you feel a bit more seen in those moments when you feel entirely alone. We've explored what loneliness can look like and shared steps to overcome it. Remember, you're not alone in this, and there are practical ways to find connection and joy. Make sure you do not let your own assumptions get in the way of getting the connection you crave. Every small step you take matters. You're doing an incredible job, and you deserve the connection and support on this journey. I want to know what one thing you are going to do today to feel more connected and less lonely. Remember, it doesn't need to be a big thing. Even a simple WhatsApp exchange can bring you the connection that you've been craving today. Challenge your assumptions and take that step today. If you're interested with working with me one-to-one, please go to my website, solacecoaching.com, for further details. And don't forget to follow my Instagram page @SuddlesCoaching for more insightful content on living a life to be proud of as a single parent. In the next episode, I'm going to be talking all about Christmas and getting in the right headspace for Christmas so that it is a season to be enjoyed, not dreaded. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Single Parent Reset. You've taken 15 minutes out of your day to do something for you, and that alone is a step in the right direction towards living a life you deserve. If you found this useful, please share with your friends or family. Remember, single parents can be sitting at home feeling isolated and lonely and just not letting you know about it. So this episode could be exactly what they need to find the connection in their life today.